So we have been working together for about a month and a half now. And so would you like to describe your hypnosis experience with me?
Yes. So, oh, I what I would love to share is I don't think I could have ever came to such realizations without going deep like that, without being guided into something deeper to really allow myself to visit those emotions. Like if you remember our first ever meeting.
How could I forget?
Yes, I was sitting in a chair and this I'm just gonna pretend I'm talking like to my mom because this is literally what I tell her and my friends anytime I talk about us and how I was sitting in the chair across from you and I really wanted hypnosis to work, right? But of course, you're scared, you're nervous, and of course that inner voice is just going like, this isn't gonna work, nothing's gonna fix you, whatever, whatever. And how quickly it worked and me wanting it to work in so many ways and already being very like intuitive in myself and but still you led me to a part of myself that I fought back on and wasn't ready to like fully release yet. I don't know what you might call that, but you knew how to not give up on me honestly and to really just help me get there. And what's most amazing without me having to speak my concerns or that's why therapy never works for me, like talk therapy, because I don't like to voice out loud certain fears. So the way that you're able to guide that in hypnotism or hypnosis, I call it hypnotherapy. That's how I just describe you. It's just a really cool tool and technique that I want like all my friends to use because I don't think anyone could have ever gotten to that part of me before. That's a true gift that you have, like a very true gift that you knew
Thank you so
something.
much. And
Yeah.
so how are you feeling before, like at the very beginning? Like when you came into my office, I know you were like, I'm in the middle of this life and I don't know what to do. And so what were you feeling before and like how does that compare to how you feel now after our work?
Gosh, yes. Holy moly. Okay, so um, just a little background. I'm a mother of two young boys, neurodivergent. I'm a nurse, and I'm separated, all very new. And I came in not knowing really what I was looking for, I guess, knowing I needed help in the direction of which life, you're stuck in this roadway path and which way did I want to go, right? Continue down this road of independence, what this looks like, single mom of two, or this other path of starting a life and trusting in my partner who broke a lot of trust, but was already starting to show me owning his mistakes. But again, I couldn't unsee that. I couldn't unsee the trauma of so many years. And that's why I was looking for you. And that's why I found you knowing I needed help to make this decision. And what was really cool and also pissed me off, and that's what I told my mom too, was she asked me really hard questions. Like she makes me sit with it to the one session we had where you were just so perfect and saying, because it's questions people have asked me before, and I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to sit with it. It was too hard. It was too much. But being with you in like this safe place and just fully trusting you was, you asked me like, Nicole, what do you want to do here? And I said, I don't know. That's why you have to hypnotize me. And you were just like, that's not what hypnosis is. I can't do that. I can't give you the answer. And it sucked, but also it was like, okay, all right, guide me through this. And you did, you asked the right questions, you gave me the right homework per se, the right tools to actually sit with it and find the direction I wanted, or sit with it and be able to, when I knew intuitively what I wanted, you were able to help me get there as well. Like you gave me kind of the green light, like it's okay to be happy. It's okay to also lose control. Like the one thing you said that I really need to like type up and just frame was you don't have to be in control. How does it feel to not be in control? How does it feel to not be in control of what your kids' thoughts of you are when they're older, right? Like that's their own mind. We have no control of that. Our gift as parents just guide them in the best way we can, but we can't control how they're going to remember me. And why have I been trying to do that for 7 years? I don't know. And it was exhausting. And the fact that you told me it's okay, like you can't do that. Humanly possible, we can't do that. Why are you wasting your time and energy? I left that day just seeing everything so much freer. Like it was just crazy. It was just crazy. And I really do. I need to like frame that and remind myself because now I was just able to like enjoy them more. And it's made me a better parent. It really has.
And so if I didn't hypnotize you into making a decision, what did I do in hypnosis specifically for you?
Yeah. You so I think the key to it is you held the space, the comforting space. You always set me up to my happy place where I felt safe. You never, I guess, pressed. You knew when to keep going. You always asked, do you want to? Do you want to go deeper? Do you want to explore this more? So the person always has their free will with answering, which I think is huge. And I knew I wanted to do the work. So first I said yes, and then you would just guide me to the next question. But it was more of these questions that are pretty open-ended, and I make the own vision in my head, and then I describe it back to you. And I assume you kind of go off of that. So really, you're just knowing the person so well to know the questions to ask, their feedback, and to help just support and hold them there, I guess would be maybe the best way to describe it. Because it's also like in a session you said one time how I said, it's crazy how you can ask me some things that my mom or my sister or friends might ask me. And I'm not ready to answer or see them. And you were like, well, yeah, because they're asking you in the middle of the day when you're driving home from work, or, we do all these external factors going on. But the fact that you're here in the safe place that we've already made and you're ready to actually sit with this and feel it and answer it is different than somebody just doing it on the phone call on a walk or to work or something. And that was like an aha moment as well to be like, oh, that makes more sense. Like right now, I'm more open to envisioning both ways and which one feels right. Whereas you can't do that if you're in the everyday life. You have to really just give yourself that space to sit with it and be led in that direction.
Mhm. And so something else that I know that came up quite a bit in our sessions was just some past memories that you were holding on to. And so how did hypnosis help you release those?
Oh, that was so cool. Still gives me chills. That is just purely amazing and magic. I don't know. I don't know. It was also cool too because it's like I would release one thing and this other I am a vision person, so I see more, however you want to describe it. So I would see another memory pop up that I might have forgotten about, but that it reminded me of and led me to, and then I would realize the connection that I never would have if you didn't bring me to that space almost, if that makes sense.
Hmm. And so those traumas that you were holding on to from, with the more recent past, with some of the things that you've been through, how are you feeling about not being able to access those anymore?
Oh my God. Amazing. Because this is where people get hypnotherapy wrong or hypnosis wrong, whatever you want to call it. They think that you like can mess with somebody's brain and that you have all the control and they're like, you're gonna come out. I don't know. But it's not because you you have control the whole time. And it's not like you got rid of the memories, they're still there, but it's not, you don't feel it, you're not in it. It is like a very distant memory that's, oh yeah, yeah, that happened. But there's no feeling to it, there's no attachment to it, there's no emotion to it. So I think that is huge in itself, knowing like you're not brainwashing somebody, you're not taking their memories from them, you're letting them live again. You're releasing them from the attachment, the feelings, if that kind of makes sense. And that is the coolest thing ever. Like, that's a gift. That is really cool.
Yeah, and so because you were able to release the emotional attachments to these particular memories, how has that helped you in your present day life with your relationships in regards to that person or these people?
Yeah, to really honestly just kind of hit the reset button and start fresh. You no longer have this baggage. You can really just start fresh, be who you want to be, who you've always wanted to be. But because of these past traumas, you thought you were genetically made up for something else, right? That's what was instilled upon you. But now, when you don't have any of that and you get to choose, it's so easy. And like you really do feel like 1,000 pounds lighter. Like it's so freeing.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions that I have. So, if there's anything else that you want to mention.
But there was, what was it? What was it? It was something really cool. It's gonna come to me and I'm gonna get mad. Freeing. I think too, just being able to see yourself in this new light was really cool. And you can cut this down if you want, but I'll tell you one of my favorite stories I tell everyone about one of our sessions was how I literally practiced self-compassion every day at work. And I thought like I I have great self-talk. Like, no, I like myself. I'm my own best friend until you led me into it and you asked me what was your like most favorite memory and you felt the prettiest or something like that. And my wedding day and honeymoon came up because that's when I thought I was my best self, right? I was young, I was beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't even realize how much like self-hatred I was holding onto and disgust because when I looked in the mirror, I just saw this like heavy, wrinkly, exhausted mom looking back at me, a failed wife, like, and it, like whatever society makes you see almost, right? Like, oh, moms are supposed to be tired and blah, blah, blah. And I guess that's like what I kept seeing until you put me in this mirror. Well, not literally, but in my mind, it was me, Nicole, current time. And it was this whole like process and steps we did. So I had little Nicole with me. I think I had teenage Nicole with me, wedding Nicole, well, me now. And then in the mirror, looking back, the reflection was wedding Nicole. And it was just this beautiful Nicole, as I remember. And she was just like, I am you. And it was, oh my gosh. And it was the most just freeing. And I remember I like cried and it still brings tears to my eyes to be like, what do you like? I am you. What are you talking about? We're the same person. Like, and then the little Nicole like looked up at me, bouncing on her little toes, and she was so happy. And the teenage Nicole was like, "We did it!" And then the little Nicole was also just like, "Oh, I don't have to worry." And that was really freeing because I didn't even know that I was still holding on to the little Nicole of just not feeling seen, not feeling heard, and worrying. And now looking back to be able to let her know, like, no, this life thing's pretty easy. We figured it out. We got this. Like, we're okay. It was just fun, and little Nicole then could just have fun again. And then the one I love, and I still envision it to this day, and I almost want to make like AI make it up for me, was old Nicole, Grandma Nicole with her boys and them having kids and like what that looks like. And it was just the most freeing feeling ever to be wrinkly and I want to have this beautiful silver white flowing hair. And I was rocking on the porch and I was just imagining, like, guys, life is easy. Just the trick is just live in the moment. Don't overthink it. Just blah blah blah. I'm being this like free spirited grandma. It was really cool. And whenever times get tough now because life is stressful, I go back to that grandma Nicole, almost like she's my wiser self, and just taking her advice. And it was just a really cool gift that you gave me. So thank you.
So welcome. And I guess that leads me into my this next question that I have is,
Okay.
so I know you came into hypnosis because you're like, I have this feeling, I don't want to feel this anymore, but how has hypnosis changed your view on identity? Because people come to me
Yes.
because they have a feeling, they don't want to feel anxiety, they don't want to feel the pain, whatever, they have this habit, they feel shitty about themselves. But what they don't realize is how much hypnosis like really alters your identity, but we always have access to this. And so I would love some of your thoughts on the idea of identity in hypnosis.
Yes. Hypnosis, I think, allows you to really zone in on what you want your identity to be. Take away everything else, right? And who do you want to be? What life do you want to live? And I think one of the biggest questions was it just kind of, I don't want to hold on to that. That's bogging me down. That's preventing me from living my best life. I want to live as if you're just reborn today almost, right? Like, and what would that look like to just have clean, fresh slate? What would that Nicole look like? And that's just the free spirit Nicole that just wants to live and be happy. And that's what it comes down to is just being able to have that happiness, being able to let go of any of those traumas. But you can't do that. I mean, I have tried everything from EFT tapping to meditation. I mean, my gosh, I meditate all the time. And oh, that was the thing I wanted to say. And I just couldn't. It was stuck to me. It was a part of me. It was my story. But it wasn't until you do the hypnosis that you're able to really let go of that because again, you were able to take that memory and still have it as a memory, but it doesn't have that feeling and attachment to it. So you're able to really actually let go where you really, or I at least couldn't do that with any of the other tools out there. The meditation was the other one I wanted to say when we were just doing hypnosis now, I thought it was really cool because for those who don't know, I'm in actually my office right now, it's just a small closet at work. And I would have been like, there's no way I could ever be relaxed enough to do a hypnosis session at work. But because we've been doing this long enough, I was like, I can do this. So I did it. And, there's doors out there still, people are packing up for the day and stuff. And usually when I meditate, my mind always goes somewhere else. I'm human. And I just always, oh, yep, that's where it went. Okay, thank you for that thought. And I always come back to working on the present. But with hypnosis, my mind never wanders. And that's actually what I wanted to say to you with how cool that is because I've never experienced that and I never even realized it until that session. And I was just like, that's really cool because when you meditate, your mind just wanders, right? The grocery list or whatever. But with hypnosis, I don't know what it is. Actually, do you have an answer? Like why doesn't your mind wander?
I really think that it has to do with the fact that your attention is on me. And
Okay.
I'm holding your attention and helping you focus on very specific things. Like you're releasing some of that control, that control of where do I go, and you don't really have any direction when you're meditating. The problem that I
Yeah.
find that a lot of people have with meditating is that they don't have very clear goals about what it is that they want to accomplish. They just sit down, they're just like, well, just going to be in this space, and your brain likes to have goals and objectives. And so when you're doing a session like this, we're going on down a very specific path, and that's much easier for your brain to follow than just being like, well, you're out in the wild.
Ah, that I think is actually one of the really cool things about it. And I never even realized it until now that
And
yeah,
so
you
I
just
think
have
that
that
you
pure
could do it
focus.
by yourself. It's just, even whenever you're working on I know this is a little bit off topic, but even when you're working on developing your psychic gifts and abilities, one of the things that you have to learn is that you have to ask. You have to open up the door. You have to have a focus to go somewhere. Especially when you're looking for information or you're doing subconscious
Yeah.
work. That's how I do my subconscious work. That's how you learn to be multidimensional is you're asking the questions, but then you're also feeling your present self, but then leaning into that space that you're asking to go into. And so you really have to set an intention in which most people they don't know that they need to do that.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And I think too, just hypnosis in itself, I think, empowers you. And maybe it's back to the self-compassion thing, but to like yourself again or to feel comfortable with self, which
Hmm.
then finally awoke me to be like, yes, all these people have helped me get to where I am, and I'm forever and eternally grateful for that help. But also, why am I going to continue to live my life for them and not for what makes me happy? And I think the hypnosis let me see what makes me truly happy and to be able to just focus on that and let the other stuff go. And because of the hypnosis work, you're able to let the stuff go and not feel guilty and it doesn't feel weird. And it's more like awakening that if you even ask those people, they probably be like, I don't care. It's your life. Do what makes you happy, right? Because nobody cares. We just have this weird inner dialogue in our heads that makes us think these things. So it's like, why are you living life for these other people who don't even know you're thinking that way? So it was really just freeing in that like you granted me the ability to find my inner peace and inner happiness to actually make the future that I wanted, but I was too scared to want because of what people thought.
Mm.
It's just that's what I needed. And it's probably what everybody needs. It was just really, really, really cool.
So I have a couple more questions. I mean, they just kind of keep coming up.
Of
So
course.
if you have space for it, I would love to ask a couple more
Yes,
questions.
please
Okay.
do.
So the next question that I have is how do you move past, like, so you're in your sessions, you're having some big things, some scary things come up in the very beginning because, people come across fear, sadness, they come across emotions that they don't typically lean into. And so for you as a client, how did you get past that, the fear or like the big emotions to be able to lean deeper into your hypnosis sessions?
It was really you. It was honestly just you and continuing to hold that space like that first session. And I remember saying, it's a dark cloud. I can't I can't get past it. And I don't remember what you said, but I remember somehow you did say something like, okay, like let's take a step back, go back to your happy place. Did you remember that? So I went back to my happy place and then felt safe, secure. And then somehow we went back to it and I was able to break through it. So I think it was a matter of you not pushing, but knowing the client enough that she wants to break through this. That's why she's here. And I made that clear to you before. And I think you probably even said something like, do you want to keep going? And I said, yes, when we're back at the happy place. And you just knew how to hold the person, bring them back when they needed to be in their safe, secure place and remind them this is your choice. And you clearly like make that known. And then I obviously like I needed to work through this. That's why I saw you. Um, and then you brought me back there. And once we were able to, and I don't even know how long it took us to break through that dense black cloud, but once we did, it was just the most like awakening moment. And I'm forever grateful that like you were able to bring me past that because none of this work would have been possible without doing that, without getting there.
Yeah, and so I remember, and I always warn people ahead of time that I can be not so much a hard ass, but like I'm definitely more straightforward in the work that I do, in which I
Mhm.
don't, I warned you ahead of time, like I don't spiritually bypass. Like, and I remember during that session, I took you back to your safe space, and I remember saying, we have to acknowledge this if we're going to move forward, but I reminded you that you were going to move past this and that it was going to be much easier than you thought that it
Yes.
was. And so, how did it feel for you to hear some of those harder things? Because even giving you the homework on having the conversation, So, what is your opinion on kind of like pushing towards the edge, but obviously not pushing you over the edge, if that makes sense?
I think just knowing you're not alone, knowing that you were there, and to also remind me that I wanted this. And I think I even said it to you, like to face whatever it is that you don't want to, like you have to go through it to get to the other side, right? Like there's no bypassing it, like you said, like you have to get through it to get there. And I think how you just always gently reminded me that, you know, think of it as you're above it. That's what we did. You had me always go above it when it got too much, and I was looking down on it. So you reminded me I'm not in it. And I think that's huge because whenever I felt like I was in it, and I mean, I would be crying, and I remember the tears coming down my face, and I would just go above it. And now you're watching it. And I think that's really huge too. And just kind of giving you one beat away from it. And the other really cool story I loved about one of our sessions was the cave. And I don't know if you remember this. This is another one I tell everyone. And it was another one where you pushed me. And I'm in this cave and I didn't want to leave my cave. And it was my happy cave, one of my happy places. And we went deep. And you had me peek out, or I don't know, I peeked out, and then all these hands were like coming at me and grabbing me and they all needed something. And I think I was supposed to leave the cave or something, and I didn't want to. And I was just like, it's too much. I can't do it. And then something else. And then I remember you saying, you don't have to give or something like that. And I remember me fighting back and saying, no, I do have to give. Like if I have this, if I have the tools to help others, why would I not? Like that's selfish. And I was getting like mad because also I'm exhausted. I don't want to leave the cave, but I knew like if I had it, I had to give them. And I didn't realize like that had to be my internal battle for I don't even know how long. And you said, and this is what I share with everyone, you said, but what if you have to keep that for your kids, for you to have the energy to be the best mom you can for the ones I'm gonna cry, for the ones that really need it right now. And those words alone to be like, oh my God, that's why I'm so exhausted when I get home and why I'm so irritable and why I snap at them because I'm doing it for everyone else that like that was just such a waste of putting the energy in the wrong place of what mattered most right now because then I was self-hating myself and blaming myself because I was irritable to the kids. So it's this weird cycle. And you just helped me do that. And now I don't feel like when I go back to that place, the hands aren't there grabbing me anymore. And it's just like this beautiful yellow light, bright light. And I've been able to go home in a more calm, centered way of just giving my kids all of me that I thought I was doing before, but I knew I wasn't because again, I was snapping at no reason at all. And that was a good one. That's another one too that I share with everyone.
Okay, I have one more question because I don't
Yeah.
want to hold up because I could ask questions all day because I'm like, I'd love to talk really. So this last question I have is, a lot of my clients, they always want to know like how they know that this works. And so there's this misconception that everything happens like during the session. And so my question for you is what shifts did you notice like at like in between? Like what was your
Hmm.
in between the sessions like?
That's a great question. I remember the first one, and you did a great job of kind of warning me and just saying like different experiences people had after. And I kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna be like fine. And I remember I went to work and I just did not feel myself. It was the weirdest feeling. It was like out of body, and I really do think it was just like this healing that was happening. And it only lasted like maybe 12, 24 hours. And I think it was just like all that grudge just being let go and being refreshed. And then really at the end, so that was like the biggest one I tangibly felt, right? And after the other sessions, it was more just lighter, like even just from waking up in the office and coming back, just feeling lighter, but then having it stay with you. And I remember after one of them, it was days later, I was on a walk with my mom. You know, we talk about my mom a lot, she's my person. And I even looked at her and I was like, do I seem different to you? Because I felt different. And she was like, yeah, you seem happier, you seem calmer. And I was just like, I feel so good. Like I feel so light. And it's close to feeling heat too. It's not like after a massage or acupuncture or something like that, like where you'll get sore again a few days later. This has stayed with me and it's really cool. Yeah.